Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Now we are going to start with chapter 2 of class 11 history. Name of this chapter is From the Beginning of Time. So from the beginning of time, first of all, we are coming to discuss inside this as an introductory part which will tell us about that what is actually history. So the study of history is the study of human past which started millions of years ago, long back. It is a continuous and unending phenomenon. The achievements of the human society can be known from the archaeological or literary sources. So these are the two sources through which we can gather information. One is about the archaeological evidences and another is about that literary sources. These are the two sources which they provide us the knowledge or information about that the ancient people. The period of man's progress for which we have written sources is known as historic period. So now what is this? What is historic period? In a simple way, we can answer this. The period of man's progress from which we have written sources or written records. The sources which they provide us with the written records is known as historic period. It provides us the written records. So this is the historic period when we have the written sources which is known as historic period, but the man had lived on the earth for millions of years before. He developed the art of writing. But before this, the art of writing also, the human existence was there on the earth. That period is known as prehistory. This is both these the pictures, they are of the prehistory. Because till this time they did not know how to write. The skill of writing was not been developed. So this is known as prehistory and this is known as history. Archaeological evidences and literary sources are there which they provide us about the information of the human life on the earth, about the history of the earth. But many periods are also there when this literature, with this writing, skill of writing was not developed. That time also history was there. That time also the human existence was there on the earth. So now coming to study the history, this is the beginning of human existence. This is beginning of human existence. The study of history is the study of human past, which started millions of years ago. It is a continuous and unending phenomenon. The achievements of human society can be known from the archaeological or literary sources. The period of man's progress for which we have written sources is known as prehistory, is known as historic periods. But the man had lived on earth for millions of years before he developed the art of writing. That period is known as prehistory or prehistoric period. Beginning of human existence. When does the human started existing on the earth or appeared on the earth? The archaeologists estimated that the first civilization emerged is 5.6 million years ago. This is the short form of millions years ago, MYA. Gradually, several forms of humans emerged: Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, and which is Idaltu. It is this means that the first born, a different language which was used during the means the very beginning in the African continent. So Homo sapiens Idaltu means the first born human on the earth. And the species evolved with time through physical, sexual, and early men hunting an elephant, the psychological changes. Everything that the physical, sexual change, then the psychological change, everything took place, which evolved, which developed. So modern day humans originated about 1,60,000 years ago. So this is an expected data is given 1,60,000 years back. Human life appeared on the earth. Then coming back to this, the prehistoric period. Until the 19th century, this is said like that. The archaeologists began excavations at the places where the prehistoric men might have lived. Not with that the surety, but it is said that might have lived. These excavations led to the discovery of human fossils, old tools, pottery, and bones of ancient human beings and animals. After excavations of the archaeological sites, archaeologists they are trying to give the detailed idea about this with the help, with the study, with the discovery, what they have found on, after the excavation on the different sites. So they try to give us knowledge, to give us information about that, the human existence on the earth by studying the bones of ancient humans and animals, the tools which they used, human fossils, all these they have considered, they have studied in great detail. On the basis of the gathered information, the archaeologists had and the scholars have brought to light the way men lived in the prehistoric age. So this is the very important factor about that. On the basis of gathered information, the information which is based on that, the human fossils, tools, pottery, bones of ancient human and animals. So on that basis, they gathered the information. The archaeologists and the scholars have brought to light the way men lived in the prehistoric age, when we do not have any written record. The scholars are of the view that the story of man probably began about 3 million years ago. This what it says, that 3 MYA. So this is all actually about that, the prehistoric period, how these the scholars they are trying to bring the knowledge, to collect the knowledge and information about this period. Way of reconstructing human evolution. How to reconstruct how the human developed. Now coming to discuss with this the archaeologist on prehistory, the work which has been done by archaeologists. So before to reach to the topic, we must have to know about that what is archaeology and who were the archaeologists. So what is archaeology? It is the study of history and culture of ancient societies by examining the remains of the buildings, tombs, tools, pottery, and other objects, all such things. By these archaeology department, what they do, their work is to study about the study of history, the back, the past, the things or the event which happened in the past. They have to study about all those things. Not only that, a particular part of the society, but they have to study about that by proper examination of the remains of the ancient buildings, then tombs, tools, pottery, and any other object, whichever they feel that or they found on the excavation sites. It is mostly concerned with the human activities in the prehistoric period. So, which is not only that all such things, but the things which is related to the human activities, which is concerned with the human activities. Those, the facts, those evidences were studied by this archaeology department, and they throw light upon all those things. Now, what is this archaeologist? The scholars who study the remains of prehistory and create the history of this period are called archaeologists. What so interesting work they are doing. They are just studying the remains of the prehistory, means that when we do not have any written record. So from the excavation sites or after the excavation, what they have, get the findings by studying all those things, they create the history about the existence of life on the earth, and this making this period as a history, to converting all those things in a form of a history. And those scholars who involved in these activities are called archaeologists. Explorations by the archaeologists. Many things which could help us in acquiring the knowledge about the culture of early men, which were damaged or perished within a short period. Actually, which they are not available in a perfect way. They are already perished or they are not available. There are, however, certain factors which help in preserving the articles which would otherwise perish in short period. For example, in a pit full of snow in Siberia. Siberia is in Russia. In earlier it was Soviet Union, USSR, but now it is a cold desert of this Russian continent, Russia. The archaeologists discovered a prehistoric mammal over there, almost completely intact. Even in the deserts with dry climate in Egypt, the relics of the past have not perished. Here, Siberia is the cold desert, but in the dry desert of Egypt also the relics of the past has not been completely perished. They have rather remained well preserved. The dead bodies of the ancestors of the Egyptians, known as mummies, along with the fine cloth, ornaments, furniture, and other valuable articles have been found intact in the graves inside the pyramids of Egypt. So this is one of the example quoted over here about the work done by the archaeologists, how they are excavating the sites and collecting the facts about the human life. Then it comes about that what the methods they adopted for the excavation. The archaeologists dig the places concerned with very patience. They are very patient in this manner and utmost care with the specific tools. First, they remove the dust from above and around the objects with a knife and then brush them. They do not disturb their original form. Can you imagine about that? How they are doing their study. So without any that, whatever the form they are available or engraved, they try to take it out in the same manner and then collect the deep detail about that, the object which they have actually found. Next is about that, how do the archaeologists date their finds? How they are giving the dates, in which year it was available. The archaeologists use various methods to determine the dates of the objects they discover. Now, what are the various methods? So, first of all, the coins of the emperor ruler help the archaeologists to find the approximate ruling period of the king. If suppose it is given in such manner, the coins, if suppose they get from any of the side, so it becomes very easy for them to understand in which period of the ruler it was used. It becomes difficult for the archaeologists to trace the period of the king without the help of any inscription. But the coins, if suppose any inscription is not found over there, then it becomes difficult for them. But most of the time, the coins, when it has been started using by the rulers or by the kings, by the traders, it is depicted. Something is depicted on that. Something is written on that coin. Second, science has greatly helped in finding out how old an object is. Now coming to discuss about that, the role of the science, how the science play an important role in finding about that, in which period this object was been used. Physics holds that all things, whether plant or animals, contain radioactive carbon. Radioactive carbon. This is the theory given, this is the principle of physics, theory of physics. What it says that any of the object holds that all things, whether plants or animals, contain radioactive carbon, which is known as the carbon 14. This is categorized under the carbon 14. Through carbon 14 dating or the carbon dating process, also in a simple way we are telling that the carbon dating process. So through this carbon 14 dating, scientists can tell whether a skeleton is 3 million years old or an year old. With this process, while they are entering in this process, easily they can say that in which year, whether it is 1 year old or 3 million years old. In a very simple process, it can be declared by using the carbon 14 dating process. The geologists try to know the history of the earth from the layers of the rocks. Geologists are actually the experts or who they study about the earth, the layers of the earth, inside the earth, what are the things are there. So what they try to know the history of the earth from the layers of the rocks. Geology is the scientific study of the substances such as rocks and soils in order to find out the origin, structure and history of the earth. So this is the work done in the geology as a subject, and this is the geologist who they try to find out the facts by studying the layers of the earth, layers of the rocks. How do archaeologists date their finds? This is now given about the radioactive materials are those which send out the smallest particles at a fixed rate. This is at the fixed rate that can be measured. Radioactive material, which is a theory used as a part of the physics, as a means the matter of the physics to find out the in which year this object is related to, so how it has been used. The radioactive materials are those which send out the smallest particles at a fixed rate and that can be measured. When the plants and animals are alive, they absorb the same amount of carbon 14 from the atmosphere. How easy to understand this is. This is the how the plants and the animals, when they were alive, they also have absorbed the same amount of the carbon 14 from the atmosphere as they lose through the radioactivity. But when they die, they stop absorbing carbon 14. The moment the plant or the animal or the human, when they die, they stop absorbing carbon 14 from the atmosphere, but continue to lose it. When the archaeologists get hold on an object of antiquity, means the oldest one, they measure the carbon 14 content in the body to determine its date. This system of finding out the time of an object is called the carbon 14 dating. And this process is known as the carbon 14 dating. When these archaeologists, they try to find out the fact about that, how long back and how these objects were there in the past, how long back they were existing in the past. So the back history or the past history of the things can be, or the objects can be taken out with the use of the carbon 14 dating. This is about the beginning of the human existence. How it is, these are the some additional information giving you for the better understanding of the chapter. Fossils, stone tools, and the cave paintings help us to understand the early human history. About 200 years ago, many scholars refused to accept these remains. This was due to their belief on the Old Testament of the Bible. According to this, human origin was regarded as an act of creation by God. So why this is means the beginning of the human existence according to the Bible and what it says about that, all the human beings, the human origin was regarded as an act of creation of God. In 1856, workmen who were quarrying for limestone in the Neander Valley, it is in Germany, found a skull and some skeletal fragments. So this person, while he was just doing the excavation work to take out the limestone from there, he was there in the Neander Valley of Germany and he found a skull over there. They handed over their find over to Carl Fuhlrott, a local naturalist. One who was involved, this person was Carl. This is the Fuhlrott. He was a naturalist, the local person who was studying about the nature. He took the material to anatomist Hermann Sachsenhausen at the Bonn University. And they jointly published a paper claiming that this skull represented a form of human that was extinct. On 24th November 1859, Charles Darwin, he published his book on the origin of species. This is the name of his book. Origin of Species is the name of the book written by Charles Darwin. It is a landmark in the study of evolution, and he argued that humans had evolved from animals. And this is the statement given by him, that the evolution of human is from the animals. This is the philosophy, this is the theory given by Charles Darwin. This is about the Charles Darwin. Additional information of these are the additional informations. It is not the strongest of species that survive, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. So adaptation, what is his that work? What he has suggested, that adaptation. It is not the strongest of species. Strongest means the strong with the body. It is not necessary for the survival. As well as the intelligence is also not required for the survival. But the most important thing is about that adaptation. The change in the climate. If we adapt, then easily we can survive. So this is the theory given by Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin, he was a naturalist. Charles Robert Darwin, his full name was that, an English naturalist and geologist, best known for his contributions to evolutionary theory. This was his contribution. Then, born in February 12, 1809, the Mount Shrewsbury, United Kingdom, and died in April 19, 1882, Down House, Downey, United Kingdom. So this is a small means that the history about Charles Darwin. Now coming to discuss about that, the views about the origin of human beings. Under this heading, what Charles Darwin wants to explain or to give his idea, what he has written in the origin of species. According to him, human has evolved from animal. This is the theory given by Charles Darwin. So Darwin's view, the credit of formulating the systematic theory of evolution goes to Charles Darwin. His theory was a basic force in shaping of modern mind. This is what he says, that the systematic theory of evolution. If we talk about that, the theory of evolution in a systematic manner, simply it strikes the name of Charles Darwin. And his theory was a basic force in shaping of the modern mind. His famous work, Origin of Species, written in 1859, casts a considerable doubt on philosophical ideas of origin of universe as given by the church or Newton. So how he is a bit different from the church, the means the facts given by the church or the facts given by Newton. In place of Newton's fixed and permanent categories, Darwin offered those of change and the chance and the evolution of organisms. So everything has been challenged and criticized, and with the fact it has been proven by Darwin. So this placed emphasis on growth, dynamic instead of static factors. How the growth is dynamic? It is not the static factor. By gathering the data, Darwin collected the evidence to prove that existing plants and animals and man himself evolved from more rudimentary forms. How that the rude form were there and how the human has evolved from there. So this is about that, the human evolution, and the theory is given by Charles Darwin. In the struggle for existence, this is which environment imposes on living species. Nature selects those species most fit for adapted to survive. Species which is most fit or adaptive, which can change, which can accept the change, they can survive. So that Darwin gave a systematic explanation of evolution of life. He holds that there are many similarities between the physical structure and functions of lower animals and of men, which is the highest product of the process of evolution. Human has evolved a lot. The highest product of the process of evolution is observed in the humans. Man is a mammal as well as vertebrate and has common ancestry with them. Already children, you studied in standard 9, 10 science portion, in bio portion already it has been given over there. And the same thing it has been repeatedly written over here about the adaptation, about the origin, about the gene and species of the human being. So what it says that the similarities between the physical structure and the functions of lower animals and of men, which is the highest produce of the process of evolution. Man is a mammal as well as vertebrate and has common ancestry with them. Our ancestors, our forefathers were the same. Darwin collected a great mass of evidence to support his views. His conclusions have been further developed by the discoveries of fossils. How he has a conclusion he has given about that, the development by the discoveries of fossils. But the question behind the exact origin of humans is still incomplete. So many facts are given, so many that the theories are developed by the different naturalists, scientists, by the geologist, by the geologist. Everything is there, by the historians, by the archaeologists. But still that the origin of human is still incomplete. We do not have the exact or the complete idea about the origin of human. Growth of reptiles and birds. This is still, we are continuing with that, the theory given by Charles Darwin. The scientists presume that a few of the earliest creatures began to live on the land while others continued to live in the seas, rivers and lakes. This is about that, the presume that the few of the earliest creatures Not only they were living on the land, but as well as they live in seas, rivers, and lakes. The constant development of small forms of life and the struggle for existence went on. Gradually, the land creatures evolved into huge reptiles or crawling animals. This is the development and the evolution. It shows that about the animals also, how they evolved in huge reptiles or crawling animals. These huge animals were known as dinosaurs, which were of two kinds. Some of them were plant-eating beasts, that is the herbivorous, while the others were meat-eaters, carnivorous. The plant-eating dinosaurs were a prey to meat-eating dinosaurs. So this is all about that, the fact written about this, the reptiles and the birds. Then it comes about growth of mammals. In the process of evolution, mammals replaced reptiles. Reptiles are replaced by mammals. How it is in the process of evolution. Just now we discussed about the dinosaurs. That the two types of dinosaurs were there. Herbivorous, carnivorous. And how the carnivorous, they have made prey to the herbivorous dinosaurs. So what it says that they had large heads. This is the human evolution. The mammal is replaced with reptiles, which has the large heads and brains. Some of them returned to water, while others continued to live on the land. They are considered as the ancestors of lions, tigers, horses, monkeys, and even human beings. They developed differently, but they all made progress in one direction. That is the brain. So in which direction that the progress has been made is in the brain. It shows that they were more intelligent than reptiles. As the more development were taking place in brain, so they are now considered as a more intelligent than reptiles. Views on the origin of human beings. So now the views of the different scholars, archaeologists, naturalists, all and the scientists. The evidence of human fossils, stone tools and the cave paintings are the main sources of knowledge of early society. In this chapter, there we must have to see that how the cave paintings were, stone tools, fossils and the cave paintings were done by the early human. We will first understand the meaning of fossils. So what are fossils? Fossils are the hardened remains or impression of a very old plant, animal or human preserved through natural means which have turned into stone, thus preserved for million years. So this says about that what are fossils or what is fossil. So it is very simple to understand that fossils are the hardened remains or impressions of a very old plant or animal or human which preserved through natural means and have turned into stone. So stone means that as hard as like stone, and they are preserved for millions of years. So fossils can be dated either by direct chemical analysis or indirectly through dating sediments in which they are buried. So here it is, the suggestive measures has been given the two. How we can have to understand in the fossils of the animal or the human or anything else, how it long back it was there, their existence. So the fossils can be dated either by direct chemical analysis or indirectly through dating sediments in which they are buried. Once the archaeologists date a fossil, they can work out the sequence of human evolution. Now, with this way, it has become very easy for the archaeologist. So, first of all, what they are doing, once the archaeologists date a fossil, they can work out the sequence of human evolution. With this, the fossils, with the date of the fossils only, this becomes very easy for the scientist to work on the part of the sequence of the evolution of human. The differences in the shapes and sizes of skulls also provide evidence of human evolution. The size of and the shape of the skull also provide evidence of human evolution. So some recall questions are there which we can recap with this. The first one is about that. Define fossils. Just now we have discussed about that. Define fossils. So the word fossil is so this is about the explanation of the fossils. The word fossils is used to describe the remains of very old plants, human beings, or animals which have left their mark on the earth. These remains are preserved for many years. So this is the meaning of fossil and this is the definition of fossil. Next question is about the two differences between the hominids and the hominoids. So very simply, we can have to explain about that. The size of brain. The hominids So this is the difference between the hominids and the hominids. Hominids have upright posture and bipedal locomotion. They also have large brain. Hominoids, they have a small brain. They are quadrupeds. So this is about that, the hominids and the hominoids. Next question is about that. How have the fossils of human species classified? So this is about that, the classification of the human species. Human species are basically classified by the scientists into three categories. Scientists So these are the three categories which has been under which the human species are categorized. Number one is Homo habilis, second is Homo erectus, third is Homo sapiens. So this is about that, the categorization of the human species done by scientists.